Focus words are the words we highlight with our voice when we're speaking in English, and focus is a very important part of communicating clearly in English. Today, we're going to do a quick review of what thought groups are, then I'll introduce focus words and how we use pitch change and lengthening to highlight those words. So a thought group is a group of words, some kind of phrase, that has pauses before and after, and it has some kind of grammatical structure, and it has meaning. So let's look at an example. This is just a short part of a TED Talk by Wendy Suzuki, and I have put a blue slash everywhere she paused. So what you're looking at are her thought groups. Not everybody would pause in exactly the same places, but this is where she paused, and I'll read through it once with her thought groups. I did something very unusual in science. As a full professor of neuroscience, I decided to completely switch my research program because I encountered something that was so amazing with the potential to change so many lives that I had to study it. I discovered and I experienced the brain-changing effects of exercise. And now you may have noticed that some words stood out more than others, and those are the focus words. So focus words. In each thought group, you usually have at least one focus word, one word that stands out. And they sound different because there's a lengthening of the stress syllable and there's pitch change. For example, I did something very unusual in science. So unusual has a very lengthened stress syllable, and you heard a pitch change. The pitch jumped up. So here's the passage again. And this time I'll read through it again, and I want you to listen for that lengthening and pitch change on the words that are highlighted in blue. I did something very unusual in science. As a full professor of neuroscience, I decided to completely switch my research program because I encountered something that was so amazing with the potential to change so many lives that I had to study it. I discovered and I experienced the brain-changing effects of exercise. Okay, so how do we choose which words are going to be highlighted? Which words will get focus? Well, usually it's more meaningful words. Nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, words that carry more information. The little words like prepositions or pronouns are not as important. They don't carry as much information. So usually the more meaningful words. Also, we like to highlight a contrast or new information in a sentence. But it's one thing to talk about exercise, and it's another to do it. Okay, a good contrast there. If all the information is new, usually the last meaningful word gets the focus. I did an experiment on myself without even knowing it. Okay, last meaningful word in each of those. Or here, you want to get exercise 3 to 4 times a week, and you want to get aerobic exercise in. Okay, in this case, the last meaningful word in the first thought group, but in the second thought group, the focus was on aerobic because exercise was repeated information from the first part of that sentence, and in was a less important word. So aerobic was the most meaningful word there to emphasize. So the importance of focus. Why is focus important? Well, using that lengthening and pitch change to highlight words really helps listeners process information more effectively. They know which words are the most important. They know which words, which information is new or a contrast. Really helps them process more easily. It also conveys your confidence and interest in a topic. If you have good pitch change and lengthening, you sound more relaxed, more confident than you would if you were just a neutral monotone without much lengthening. Okay. It's also reflected in our body language and facial expressions. So you'll notice when people gesture, they gesture on a focus word. And also their eyebrows might raise, their heads might nod. We just naturally move with focus. And if you do that, you will also look more confident and relaxed. So some resources for practicing. It really does take a lot of practice to feel comfortable with that pitch change and lengthening. So I recommend these 3 sites, and I'll show you each briefly. TED Talks, lots of, a variety of lectures. Just choose one small section of a lecture, pull up the subtitles, and listen, pause it, and then try to imitate their focus. Use this, put focus on the same word, use the same pitch change, and you can even imitate their gestures too. PBS NewsHour has some nice interviews, usually related to current events, authors of books. And again, you have the transcript you can look at while you listen, and you can, again, part of the interview, you can listen, pause, and try to repeat that thought group with the same focus. Okay, so take, again, just for a few minutes, not a long time, not a whole interview. And then StoryCorps, again, lots of short recordings of people talking about important events in their lives or people in their lives, or short interviews, very interesting ones. And again, the transcript's right there. You can look at it, you can listen, pause, and repeat, and try to have the same focus. Okay, so some points to remember. Each thought group has at least one focus word, and those focus words are emphasized by lengthening the stressed syllable and pitch change. Gestures, movement, facial expressions often accompany focus words, and imitating the thought groups and focus from online lectures or interviews is a really useful way to practice. All right, thank you.